Did you know that the Aztec Empire was one of the most advanced civilizations in the Americas? They had a rich culture, stunning architecture, and a complex social structure long before the Spanish arrived. Their capital city, Tenochtitlan, was a marvel of engineering, built on an island in the middle of a lake with canals, aqueducts, and floating gardens. Their influence spanned across Mesoamerica, where they ruled over many different peoples. The Spanish conquest of the Aztecs is one of the most pivotal moments in history, marking the beginning of European colonization in the Americas. But what if I were to tell you that this outcome wasn't always a certainty? What if the Aztecs, with their sophisticated military tactics and impressive empire, had managed to defeat the Spanish and change the course of history? In the early 16th century, the Aztec Empire was at the height of its power, with Tenochtitlan, the capital city, boasting a population of over 200,000 people. Meanwhile, the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés had just arrived on the shores of Mexico, driven by a thirst for gold, glory, and the conversion of the indigenous people to Christianity. The Aztecs, led by the enigmatic Moctezuma II, had heard rumors of the Spanish arrival, but instead of dismissing them outright, Moctezuma found himself torn. On one hand, the Aztecs saw themselves as invincible rulers of Mesoamerica, having subjugated neighboring tribes. On the other hand, Moctezuma was deeply religious and superstitious. He wasn't sure if the Spanish represented a prophecy about the return of a god, which made him cautious. This uncertainty played a significant role in his initial approach to Cortés. Little did Moctezuma know, Cortés had already forged crucial alliances with other indigenous tribes, many who were resentful to Aztec dominance. These alliances, alongside the Spanish firearms and horses, would give the invaders a considerable advantage. But the Aztecs, masters of warfare, would not be easily conquered. Let's dive deeper into the events that led up to this potential battle. The Aztecs were masters of warfare, with a powerful military machine that had secured their dominance over Mesoamerica. Their armies were well-trained, well-equipped, and highly organized, with different units specializing in specific types of warfare. Their military tactics were based on a combination of psychological and physical warfare. Aztec soldiers would use loud drums, bright uniforms, and intimidating masks to demoralize their enemies. But they also employed clever strategies such as ambushes, flanking maneuvers, and feigned retreats to outsmart their opponents on the battlefield. Their aim was often to capture enemies alive for sacrificial rituals rather than killing them simply in battle. In contrast, the Spanish had a reputation for being brutal and ruthless, often using terror tactics to intimidate their enemies into submission. Cortés, in particular, was a cunning and resourceful leader who had already conquered several tribes in Central America with the help of his indigenous allies. As the Spanish and Aztecs faced off, it was clear that it was going to be a battle for the ages. Initially, the Aztecs were hesitant to engage in the Spanish with a full-scale battle. Moctezuma sought to avoid war by using diplomacy and offering tributes, but this indecision may have stemmed from both his religious beliefs and the fear of rebellion among the various subjugated tribes among Aztec rule. Meanwhile, Cortés continued to manipulate the political situation, forging alliances and using diplomacy to his advantage. However, the Aztecs soon realized their mistake. Cortés was not interested in peace or negotiation. He was determined to conquer the empire and claim its riches for Spain. As tensions rose and sporadic conflicts broke out, the Aztecs finally decided to take decisive action. The epic battle that ensued would be a game-changer. The Aztecs, fueled by their determination to defend their empire, used their knowledge of the terrain and their superior numbers to corner the Spanish in Tenochtitlan. They unleashed a series of well-coordinated attacks, using their ambush tactics to disorient the Spanish forces. For the first time, the Spanish found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer ferocity and organization of the Aztec warriors. Now, Cortés, realizing his army was on the brink of destruction, tried to retreat, but the Aztecs relentlessly pursued him. The Spanish suffered heavy losses, leaving behind their artillery, horses, and much of their supplies. Cortés himself narrowly escaped, fleeing with the remnants of his army. This would later be known as the La Noche Triste, or the Night of Sorrows, where the Spanish suffered a devastating defeat at the hands of the Aztecs. In this alternate history, the aftermath of the Aztec victory was a time of great celebration. Moctezuma II, despite his initial hesitation, was hailed as a hero for having defended his empire from foreign invaders. The Aztecs strengthened their defenses, aware that the Spanish might return. But for now, they had secured their independence and bought themselves some valuable time. However, the Spanish would not give up easily. Though they had been defeated, Cortés and his allies regrouped. And what's important to remember is that the Aztecs still faced a dire threat: disease. Smallpox, introduced by the Europeans, had already started ravaging the population, weakening their society and making future resistance more difficult. This factor would have been a major challenge even if the Aztecs had won the initial battle. The implications of an Aztec victory would still have been profound. The Spanish would have been forced to rethink their colonization efforts, at least temporarily. If the Aztecs had managed to rebuild and resist further invasions, it's possible that they could have maintained their empire much longer, potentially preserving their culture and way of life. But long-term survival would have required more than just military prowess. It would have meant finding ways to combat both from European weapons and European diseases. In many ways, the world we live in today might have been different, with indigenous cultures like the Aztecs playing a more prominent role in shaping the Americas. So what if the Aztecs had defeated the Spanish? Would we be living in a world where indigenous cultures were valued and respected, or would the course of history have taken a different turn? Think about it. How would our world look today if the Aztecs had emerged victorious? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this alternative history in the comments below. Hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.